Hello, friends. Welcome back to UFC Recap. Obviously, no Smoky Hours. We saved the Smoky Hours for the live stream. That's the new Smoky Hours hotspot. Speaking of the live stream, big shout out to everyone that hopped in, even if it was just for a second or you stayed the entire time. Always appreciate it, man. Big shout out to this guy, Johnny Depp, aka Bend Over. Man, dude's always in there. We're always chatting it up. We're smoking big gas, drinking good drinks, watching good fights, man. Pull up, pull up. Every Saturday, every UFC event, 15 minutes or right before the fight start, I'll be live, man. Come and check it out. Without further ado, obviously into the UFC Vegas 97 recap, man. It was a fucking phenomenal card. Phenomenal card. Phenomenal card. Wasn't even the onion card. I thought it was going to be a good card before we even started watching it, but turned out to be an amazing card. Legitimately amazing card. I think half the fights ended in finish. A lot of submissions. There were 2 KO TKOs, I think, but with the rest being submissions, let's get right into it with the first fight. Zigimantas Ramashka, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I did learn how to pronounce it, versus Nathan Fletcher, man. I picked Nathan Fletcher here. A lot of people were going with Zigimantas, and I understand why. I actually wasn't even expecting Zigimantas to come out the way he did in round one. In round one, he was looking terrifying. He was throwing up some good, powerful strikes, hurting Nathan Fletcher, and then was even getting the better of him in grappling exchanges. Had him almost in a little inverted triangle at one point. The angle wasn't really right, and it was kind of across the chin, across the face, as opposed to like under the neck, fully locked in. It was grim. It was looking grim nonetheless. Very scary situation. Round 2 comes around. Nathan Fletcher sinks in an extremely slick arm triangle choke and gets the tap, man. It was a phenomenal performance from both dudes, actually. From both dudes. Zigimantas showed a lot. He showed a lot more to me than I expected that he actually had. And Nathan Fletcher showed what I believed he would show in round 1, straight up. Just a little bit delayed, had a little bit of adversity, pushed through it. Very nice work from Nathan Fletcher, man. I was excited about this fight specifically. It got canceled in the last UFC event at the last moment. But low-key, that entire card, just in terms of timing and scheduling, was a shit show anyways. Moving on to the second bout of the night, Andre Petroski versus Dylan Budka. Andre Petroski got it done very calmly in his kind of usual fashion. You can say what you want about it being not the most entertaining or low action. You know, it is what it is. Dude's winning fights. He's winning fights decisively and dominantly. Dylan Budka, to his credit, he looked like absolute death on the scale. Not in terms of like he was skelly, like he was a skeleton, but he was swaying. He just looked extremely compromised. Looked unbelievably drained, even though he wasn't physically drained. His face didn't seem sunken in. He didn't seem too fucked up physically. But just the way he was moving, his eyes weren't like focusing on anything. Like it seemed like he was willing himself to stay conscious on the scale. But in the fight, Dylan Budka actually looked a lot better than that. You would have expected him to get finished probably early on, just based off of that visual, based off of how he was acting. That's what I was expecting. I was expecting Andre Petroski to actually pick up a little submission here. Got it done regardless, though. Good fight from Andre Petroski, man. Always worry about Andre Petroski's chin, but that's just because once you see a dude get knocked out, once you see a dude knock himself out, I should say, shooting a takedown, it'll change the way you think about them forever. Forever. Straight up forever. And of course, I think it was Jacob Malkoun's hip that he got knocked out on. Jacob Malkoun just fucking celebrated like he hit him with that, like, with some Joaquin Buckley shit. Like he hit him with like a spinning hook kick or some shit. No. No, brother, no. Moving on, though. Fucking Jacob Malkoun catching strays. Jacqueline Amorim versus Vanessa Demopoulos. I picked Jacqueline Amorim. A lot of people were picking Vanessa Demopoulos specifically by decision. That made a lot of sense. Vanessa Demopoulos, like I was saying, is not a dog shit fighter by any means. She might be a mids fighter, but she's not dog shit. Mids, we have to remember, mids does not mean bad. Bad means bad. Trash means bad. Like journeyman even means is a worse title, a worse connotation than mids, really. Even though it might feel like it's not that way. You have to think about what mids means. Now, a lot of controversy surrounding this fight. I actually think there's too much controversy surrounding this fight. To be completely fair, though, like I was saying in the live stream and in the live fight reaction, if I picked Vanessa Demopoulos to win, I would be calling up the New York State Gambling the New York State Gaming Commission. I would be calling up the Nevada Athletic Commission. Like, I would be calling everyone. I would be lodging official complaints, okay? However, people have grabbed the glove way worse, way worse. It seems like everyone just forgets about like the shit that happened to Nathaniel Wood. Like Muhammad Naimov actually saved himself, and that shit, the Muhammad Naimov glove grab was so bad it ripped the fucking tape. It was like actually exposing space in the gloves of Nathaniel Wood while he was in a finishing sequence. That was like the beginning of a finishing sequence. Completely changes the fight. Did Jacqueline Amorim cheat and it directly impacted the fight? 100%. That's not up for debate. She did. She did. But the reality of the matter is, like, we've already known this for a long time. People cheat, and you can actually cheat blatantly at least one time, and you'll get away with it. You might get a warning. But you're not going to get penalized. You're not going to get punished on your first time. And maybe even the second time, maybe even the third time. It'd be like that. That's not an excuse for it happening. We have rules for a reason. You want the sport to be clean. You want the sport to be fair. That's why the ref is in there, obviously. And I understand completely saying if you're not cheating, you're not trying. There's truth to that. There's a little bit of truth to that. However, when you are a professional fighter, a professional athlete, when you sign the contract, when you agree to participate and get paid in the sport, in whatever the fuck you're doing, actually, they're going to say, don't cheat. Hey, these are the rules, okay? If it's basketball, hey, you can't take more than 2 steps without dribbling, all that stuff. Now, people do it, and that's why the refs are there. The refs are there to enforce these rules, but you have to abide by them. That doesn't mean that you just have free reign to do whatever you want, and then the refs will come in and check you later. That's not what that means, but especially literally, like people say the heat of the moment, the heat of battle, this literally is the heat of battle. I also think that the way that Jacqueline eventually got the armbar is it might have came regardless in that position. Might have came with like less than a minute left, but still. She got the glove to basically hook her arms, like had one arm isolated, like she's Vanessa Demopoulos defending the armbar. Jacqueline Amorim switches off the glove and then already has 2-on-1 for one arm. And then eventually works it and gets the tap. And it was a good armbar, good finish. A lot of people are super salty because she took a picture of it and posted it on her Instagram. You're hating way too much, I think. Hating way too much. Some people would say that this is karma, in a sense. This is the MMA universe, the combat gods righting for previous wrongs. Maybe decisions, maybe wins that Vanessa Demopoulos was awarded that she shouldn't have been. Possibly. I'm not saying I believe that. I'm just saying it's an explanation. It's an explanation here. Jacqueline Amorim gets it done. Absolutely great performance from Jacqueline, despite the glove grab. I feel like the glove grab, should you note it and talk about it? Absolutely. Do it to your heart's content. People are acting like it was the worst and most blatant case of cheating of all time. That's not true. That couldn't even be further from the truth, actually. Like, people cheat and then they get a finish. Not consistently, but it happens. It's not like, it's uncommon. I would just say it's uncommon. It's not rare, it's just uncommon. 2 weeks ago, Ufc Vegas 96, Vyacheslav Borchev versus Hamayontop versus James Lontop, as you might say it. I think Vyacheslav Borchev in the first round gets like poked in the eye or something. He turns and runs. Speaking of, actually, you got to remember the first fucking rule of this shit. Defend yourself at all times. It's okay to talk to the ref and be like, hey, this person's cheating. They're cheating. They're grabbing my shit. They're pulling my gloves. Whatever the hell you want to say. Defend yourself, though. Defend yourself, though. Do not rely on the ref coming in to help you and be like, oh, what's happening here? Like, let's stop for a second. No. Fucking defend yourself at all time. Going back to the Vyacheslav Borchev shit. Vyacheslav gets hit with like an illegal strike or whatever he thought was an illegal strike. He turns his back fully. He like kind of fled. Hamayontop snipes him straight to the back of the dome and drops him. No one's saying shit about that. No one really said shit about that. But that's kind of what I'm getting at here. Shit happens. Shit happens. You could say that the Hamayontop shit was unintentional. I actually agree. I don't think it was intentional in the fact that he was like, oh, he's running, I'm going to hit him in the back of the head. I think it was just timing, all that stuff. What I'm trying to say here, though, is shit happens. Should be happening. Jacqueline Amorim gets it done. I think she was going to get it done regardless. Moving on. Gabriel Santos versus Yi Jia. Gabriel Santos, it was a one-sided war. Pretty one-sided. There were moments where Yi Jia came back, and Yi Jia actually ended up cutting open Gabriel Santos, like under his eye a little bit. Gave him something to remember this fight. But Gabriel Santos was in the driver's seat pretty much the entire time. It was a great scrap, great scrap. It wasn't like Ija just straight up got dog walked. He was fighting back. He just got outclassed by Gabriel Santos pretty much the entire time. I was saying Ija has almost a padded record. I didn't really fuck with him. I actually heard some spooky shit, but I'll save that for maybe it's the next fight, a couple fights later. But Ija got not necessarily clapped. I mean, it was a decision, but still got violated pretty much. Moving on. And we did fucking great with the picks this week. We swept the prelims. Did we sweep the prelims? Actually, I thought I got one wrong on the prelim. Maybe not. No, we swept the prelims. We swept the prelims, went 10-2 overall on the picks, but right back to the recaps. Andre Lima versus Felipe Dos Santos. This was spooky hours here, man. I was waiting for this fight. It was a great fight. Great performance by both men. Andre Lima showed a big portion of his game that not a lot of people thought he had, and if you just looked at his record on paper, you wouldn't assume that he had that. And his grappling skill, that's what I'm really talking about here. Threatened multiple submissions, multiple rear naked chokes that actually seemed to be in or just about to be locked up. And Felipe Dos Santos, with some of the best hand fighting we've seen recently, never gave up. He was fighting those hands the entire time and just... It was good, man. It was really good to see that from Felipe Dos Santos. That requires a lot of heart and just composure. To not panic, not be like, shit, it's locked in. It's over. It's over. There was multiple times where I was like, damn, it's over. But nah, pried the arms down, got away. It was great, man. But Andre Lima stayed on the back, kept on. Phenomenal performance from Andre Lima, and not a bad loss for Felipe Dos Santos. Obviously, it's hard to get a good loss. That does exist, though, but this wasn't one of them. But it wasn't a bad loss by any means. And another good one for Andre Lima. I was concerned about Andre Lima because I was praying. I was like, hopefully the success that Andre Lima has experienced doesn't get to his fucking head. Man got a bonus and technically got a finish in his first fight. So he had some money in his pocket, had a little bit of hype because that shit actually went viral. Like my mom was talking to me about the bite from Igor Severino and shit like that. Like people that don't watch UFC had heard about Andre Lima getting bitten. But I was praying that he keeps a calm, cool head, realize that you're 2-0 against basically bums or unproven fighters. And Felipe Dos Santos is going to be a real test for you. He was a real test for Andre Lima. He got it done. Very good work. Moving on. Isaac Dolgarian versus Brandon Marat. This was supposed to be a sacrificial fight. They showed a graphic right before this fight started that Isaac Dolgarian is the biggest favorite in UFC history, I think, at minus 2,800. It was something crazy like that. The biggest favorite in history. And honestly, the fight did not go that way. Isaac Dolgarian won. He dog-walked Brendan Moreau. But, however, to Brendan's credit, though, Brendan made him earn every second of it. He made Isaac Dolgarian work every second of that fight. He even sliced open Dolgarian at one point from the bottom. I didn't even see what it was that cut him, but I noticed there was a shit ton of blood, and I was like, God damn. And I noticed it was coming from Dolgarian. I was like, oh, shit. What the hell happened there? That was in round 2, I want to say. But Isaac Dolgarian gets it done, man. Gets the finish. Brendan did not give up. He didn't just take it. He was put on his back the entire time, but he did his best to survive for as long as he actually could. He made Isaac Dolgarian work hard for that win. He did. Moving on. Rongju versus Chris Padilla. This is the one that I wanted to get to a little bit. I had Rongju winning this one. This was actually the first incorrect pick on the card. Chris Padilla got it done. I was really saying about Chris Padilla is I think that he maybe has a little bit of something, but after that performance, I can't just go all in on Chris Padilla after the Hamayonta performance. Number one, his record pre-UFC isn't horrible, but it's actually sketchy. It's sketchy. Not in terms of competition faced. It's just like he's lost to some dudes that usually you shouldn't really lose to if you're going to be fighting in the UFC and you're going to be something. But that's in the past. That's in the past. You know, maybe he's in a different point in his career. Maybe everything's coming together. Kind of sounds like I'm shitting on Chris Padilla. I really don't mean to by any means. Chris Padilla got it done, and he got it done in almost devastating fashion. It was a KO TKO via doctor stoppage. That is a little asterisk on that. But that elbow was brutal as fuck, actually. It was so crazy. I think Chris Padilla said that he stayed up all night watching fucking Superlek tape or some shit like that. So it made sense. It makes sense, man. My son was studying Superlek for like the past week, but phenomenal performance from Chris Padilla. Rong Zhu actually looked great too. I thought Rong Zhu was winning at points of this fight. He was landing on Chris Padilla, looked very strong, looked very good. His body, it wasn't the spirit of Rong Zhu that quit, it was the body. His body got damaged. I think that's a fair doctor's stoppage, actually. Because if you get, let's say that Chris Padilla throws another elbow, it lands the exact same way on top of all that swelling, you're going to see like an explosion. Like he might not go blind, his eyeball might not actually get fucked up, but we're talking massive superficial damage. Like a lot of legitimate plastic cosmetic surgery needed, reconstructive surgery needed, possibly. Like, you don't want that to happen to dudes, especially early on in their career. Rong Zhu's fucking 24. However, though, this is all alleged. This is all whispers from the Chinese MMA community that I've heard. But Rong Zhu and Yizha both apparently are like serial abusers or like brutal abusers. They've like beat the shit out of their girlfriends multiple times, shit like that. Like, people actually don't really fuck with them in China, and they actually were kind of preying on their downfall. I didn't do too much research into that, so take that with a grain of salt. You can do your own research. Just look up Rong Zhu abuse or some shit. Might come up. So people actually were excited that they lost in some aspect. That was something interesting because I didn't hear even a little inkling of anything like that beforehand. But granted, these dudes are from China, so different scene. Obviously, same sport, but on the other side of the world. Chris Padilla gets it done, man. Great work. Moving on. Trevor Peek versus Yanal Ashmouz. I picked Yanal Ashmouz in this one. He got it done. I saw MMA Guru said it was a robbery. I think that he was smoking crack. I think Guru's smoking crack. That was not a robbery by any means. I actually think half the shots that Trevor Peek threw, obviously half, no one lands really above a 50% clip consistently except for a handful of guys, but I think the overwhelming amount of shots that Trevor Peek threw, most of them did not land. They did not land. They landed on the shoulder. They landed on the chest. He was swinging brutally. He would throw like 4 or 5 punch combinations. Maybe one would get through, but the rest are landing everywhere else. They're not landing, actually. But I think they credited him with that. I think Yanal Ashmouz won pretty decisively, was just better than Trevor Peek. Didn't land at such a high clip, but the striking was equally, if not more effective for Yanal Ashmouz. He would land powerful shots that would literally interrupt Trevor Peek. They would straight up interrupt him, had him walking back a couple times, had him resetting. You could see the batter. You could see Trevor Peek looked a little battered. He looked pressed. He looked taxed. It was very calm. Trevor Peek is unbelievable. Trevor Peek fights with the strength of fucking many men somehow. I hope that we get to see more of Trevor Peek in the UFC because it's rare to see a boring Trevor Peek fight. Yanal Ashmouz put in massive work, though. Massive work. It was really kind of how I predicted it. Yanal Ashmouz has a legitimately well-rounded game. He actually has technique as well, and that's going to be Trevor Peek's biggest weakness, is dudes with consistent technique. Not even to mention dudes that have consistent technique in multiple disciplines, such as striking and wrestling and jiu-jitsu. That's his weakness. That's his weakness. Moving on. Matt Schnell versus Cody Durden. I took a risk here. I went with Matt Schnell at the last second. My instinctual pick was Cody Durden, but I was like, damn, man, Cody got brutally knocked the fuck out recently. I bought the rumors. The rumors were not true, but I bought into them where people were saying oh, I heard that Cody Durden's only coming into this fight with his girlfriend or his wife. I bought it. I bought it on some Ferris Bueller shit. I bought it. And that was not the case. He did have a coach in his corner besides his wife or his girlfriend. Speaking about Cody Durden. And Cody Durden fought very well. He fought very well. Matt Schnell came out looking fucking fantastic and I think was winning the fight. But in round 2, he shoots for a takedown. Cody Durden hits it with a textbook stuff, transitions into the guillotine / ninja choke, and caught him. He had him caught in already. Arms were there. It was already in. It's tough. My son, Matt Schnell, with the very rare double tap, the double-handed tap. The double tap. Very rare, but you like to see it. It was a shame, too, because I thought in the striking exchanges between Matt Schnell and Cody Durden, Matt Schnell looked fast. I do think Cody Durden had a little bit more power behind his shots, but there were multiple exchanges where Matt Schnell would legitimately land 3 punches before Cody Durden would land one and retract and reset. It was It was a good performance by Matt Schnell. He retired afterwards, walked off in tears with no retirement speech. And that is the brutal, brutal ending that a lot of fighters will have, man. Thank you, Matt Schnell. Yeah, Matt Schnell. Thank you, Matt Schnell. Thank you for all your fights, man. Thank you for all the entertainment, all the wins and losses, bro. You did it. You did a lot more than a lot of people could ever hope to accomplish, man. I hope that you find success in the next chapter of your life, man. Thank you for the entertainment. Moving on, Kyle Nelson versus Steve Garcia. I had Steve Garcia winning by second round KO TKO. He got it done in round 1. Again, I think there was controversy around this one too. Just a wee bit, maybe not. I want to say I thought I saw something that like was a little funky. It's just not coming to mind right now. Kyle Nelson came out grappling heavy, and it actually seemed to be working. He was controlling Steve Garcia for a majority of the first round until Steve Garcia got an unholy reversal, ended up on top, and went to work on Kyle Nelson. Kind of similar to Ilia Topuria versus Ryan Hall, except not, just a little similar. In terms of the finish, like once Ilia caught Ryan and once Steve caught Kyle, that was the beginning of the end. Blood in the water, went for the finish and got the finish. Actually, I remember. I think there was actually super early on in the reversal or something. I think Steve Garcia landed an unholy, hellacious, devastating elbow square to the back of the head, like just the brainstem, like, and there was a welt on the back of Kyle Nelson's head. That was not good. That was not nice. That was not nice, Steve Garcia. He's known as the Mean Machine, but that was not nice, okay? That was not nice. Moving on. Jessica Andrade versus Natalia Silva. Natalia Silva looked great. However, people are glazing this fight unbelievably. It was just a good fight, in my opinion. It wasn't even like an insane fight. Jessica Andrade looked decent, but I've been saying she's actually been looking decent recently as well. Like it's nothing really new. Natalia Silva actually kind of disappointed me. I thought Natalia Silva was going to finish this fight, and I think she could have finished this fight if she pressed it a little bit more. Now, of course, you had the brain dead people on Twitter that the UFC shows like their tweets in the little left-hand corner occasionally. You had people saying, fight of the year, fight of the year. If that was the fight of the year to you, you have not watched a single fucking UFC event in 2024. I'll tell you. Listen to me. You haven't. That was nowhere near the fight of the year. It was a great fight. Great fight. I think there were better fights on this card, though. Like, so how can it be how can it be fight of the year? That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Natalia Silva, more than she's past a prospect now. She's a problem. She's a legitimate contender. She's a legitimate contender. Good fight. Good co-main event. Fantastic card, man. Fantastic card. It was so good. The pacing of the finishes and decisions was great. It actually felt like there really weren't any decisions, but once we looked back, we could see. Moving on to the main event, Gilbert Daniel Burns versus Sean Brady. Sean Brady got it done. I picked Sean Brady to get it done. I was saying, unfortunately, similar to Jared Cannonier, all good things must come to an end. Father Time is undefeated. You're pushing 40, brother. And you can still put in work pushing 40 or even at 40. You're even past it, but it's going to be very unlikely. It's going to be very unlikely. Sean Brady, a lot younger. It's his time. He's been in incredible form. He really changed my whole opinion about him with the Kevin Gastelum fight. I got put on during the Kevin Gastelum fight. I'm late to the party when it comes to Sean Brady. But I thought that Sean Brady would pretty much outclass Gilbert Burns here in all aspects, and he kind of did. I think one judge gave a round to Gilbert Burns. I thought Sean Brady won every single round. To be quite honest with you, it didn't look good off rip. It didn't look good off rip. From the first striking exchange, from the first time that Sean Brady pressed, and Sean Brady was actually pressing, Gilbert Burns, every time shots would come in, even if they weren't landing, it looked like he was hurt. It looked like he was literally shelling up from getting hurt. It's bizarre. It's fucking bizarre. Every single time Sean Brady would unload on Gilbert Burns, Gilbert would act like he was getting finished, like he's trying to survive getting finished. And he did. He didn't get finished. It went to a decision, 5 rounds. I thought it was going to go to decision. But it's over, man. Gilbert, it's done. It's over for Gilbert. Of course, that doesn't mean that he's going to retire. He can keep. Actually, I think he did retire, but forget about that, what I just said. Sean Brady got it done in phenomenal fashion. Great fashion, man. Looking forward to see the rest of Sean Brady's career. It was a fucking great card. I think this is actually going to be a quick video. Quick little recap. 10-2 on the picks. Only picks that we got wrong was Chris Padilla versus Rong Zhu. Chris Padilla won, obviously. And Matt Schnell versus Cody Durden. I should have just stuck with Cody Durden, but I bought into the hype. I thought that Matt Schnell was primed for this, late notice fight. Cody Durden's been submitted. Matt Schnell could work the submission. Cody Durden ends up tapping fucking Matt Schnell and making him retire. It's a shame, man. It's a shame. It happens. It'd be like that. Great night of fights. 50 subscriber special obviously being worked on. I'm going to try to release the first part this week, within the next 7 days. Don't hold me to that, but I'm going to try. See anything else? Any other announcements? The live streams, obviously, every Saturday, or I should say every UFC event, roughly 15 minutes before the event starts. Pull up to the channel, hop in the live stream, roll one, smoke one, cope with your boy. We talk fights, talk about everything there. We're chilling. We're having a great time. It's spooky hours, real spooky hours. Like the video if you like it. Dislike the video if you dislike the video. Leave a comment below why you dislike the video. Just leave a comment below saying anything. Saying Baba Booey. Who gives a fuck, actually? Subscribe if you want to see more or make my day. Also, there's something I want to test. There was another video where I saw, but if I say subscribe and you look at the subscribe button, subscribe, does it turn rainbow? Let me know. Like, does it change color? Let me know. Subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. Much love. Big kiss.